everybody. Welcome to Inside AWAI, Real Copywriters, Real Strategies, Real Success. I'm very excited to introduce you to Lisa Mullis. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa is the owner and operator of Paraphrase Communication. And Lisa, how long have you been in business?
I'm going to be heading into my 10th year in this business, but this is my second business. So I guess over 20 years.
Okay. And what were you before you started Paraphrase? Were you a writer?
No, I was actually graphic design.
Oh.
So I went to school for both. I have a journalism degree and with an emphasis in advertising and copywriting, but I also got trained as a graphic designer. So I spent the first part of my career doing design work, but that was a natural transition from that work into copywriting.
They work together.
Copy, right?
Exactly. Well, now you are working with service providers,
Yes.
like coaches, consultants, creatives, and you help them refine their messaging and offer so that they can build more consistent, sustainable revenue, which is the name of the game. And can you just talk how you landed in that space? And then I want to get some of your best tips that you give your clients.
Well, I think it was inevitable to be working with small businesses and business owners and founders, because I grew up in a family of my dad's a serial entrepreneur, and we had lots of small businesses growing up. So I really developed that love for small business and the impact that it can have on someone's family and local community and economy and all of that kind of stuff. So I've always gravitated toward the smaller business owner, and I really enjoy working with owners, founders, and people, the business leaders themselves. I did have a background working in corporate, but I just really enjoy getting to be right in the heart of the thinking and the strategy and what needs to happen from the business standpoint to grow it.
And so what is that process like when you meet a potential client, and how do you decide if you want to work for them, and how do you present what you're able to do for them?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think it just, for a lot of people, it takes a while to understand, like, who is your ideal client and what's the criteria, right? Like what makes it a good fit. So for me, what I came to understand was if someone is coming to me and they have either deep subject matter expertise, like they've been doing their work for a long time, maybe they did it in corporate and now they're doing it, as their own business, or they've run a business before, so they have deep business expertise, but maybe they want to do something new in their business, or maybe they just want to shift gears. So usually they're at a transition point, but they have one or both of those areas of expertise. So for me, that's what I've learned where I work the best with people. And that primarily is because these are people who they've run through the gauntlet already, whether it's from a business standpoint or a services standpoint. So they've developed enough tough skin and understanding of like what it kind of takes, right, to make it. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Excellent. So I was like, what are like typical projects that you would work on for one of your clients? Let's say it's a consultant. What would be a typical range of projects that you would help he or she with?
Yeah. So a lot of times people are coming to you again because they're in a transition point. So it could be that their work has evolved, but their messaging hasn't caught up yet. So everything on the website that they used to have, or the LinkedIn profile, just everything is no longer saying what they actually do now. And that's causing a lot of friction in their sales process. So that's a very common scenario. In that case, we have to, basically not start from scratch, but evolve the messaging to match it to what they're saying now, to be able to communicate the value that they're providing now and what their positioning is now. And, everything sort of trickled down around that. So once we have some of those core messaging elements, then we get to put it, update the website, the LinkedIn profile, like all the different places where they're showing up. So that's a very common scenario. And I'm often helping people through that whole process of not only trying to articulate the ideas, but also implement them across across everywhere. And then I do a lot of support for clients just from general marketing. So now we've got messaging. Well, we got to put it out in the world. It's not going to do anything in the document, right? So there's, as anyone who's marketed themselves before knows, there's a lot of not just technical aspects to deal with, but a lot of mindset things to work through. So that's another area where I really do a lot of support with clients, is on the mindset side, and just the accountability and the consistency, and helping people to recognize the small wins, and and just keep going, right? And keep going and do that in a way that's going to be sustainable for who they are, that matches how they want to show up and the kind of success that they define for themselves.
I love that. How did you get your first client? Now, I know you transitioned from being a graphic designer. That seems like that would have been a pretty fertile ground to find copywriting clients. Is that how it happened?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I had been doing informally copywriting for clients in my design business, which, I've met a lot of designers over the years.
That's very common.
Yes, inevitably. That happens. But because I had a background in copywriting, and I've been a writer kind of my whole life, I've loved that work. I really wanted to formally do that. So had an opportunity to, move out of my design business and start my business now that I have now. And I really, really what happened was I had to make a decision that I'm now a writer, even though I didn't have any writing clients at the time. But I distinctly remember sitting at my desk in the early weeks of my new business. Everything was new because my whole arrangement with my previous business was different. So this was felt very new too. But I just remember saying to myself, I am a writer. And this is how it's going to be moving forward. And I didn't know how that was going to evolve, but absolutely, having already had experience of what it takes to get clients and stuff, for sure, that helped. And, because there is so much overlap between design and copy.
And understanding the whole marketing world. But I just want to stop for a minute. That is so huge. And I bet as soon as you made that decision and you said it either to yourself or you said it out loud or you started saying to you, I bet there was a shift in everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, I just remember it so clearly because it was such a defining moment. It's one of those things where it didn't necessarily feel that big at the moment, but I look back and I can say, yeah, that's when things really started.
Yeah. What advice? I mean, I think that's really key advice, but in addition to that, what advice do you have for writers who may just be at that early stages of their business?
Yeah, I will say this, and I don't know if this will sound controversial or what, but in my experience, you need to ask yourself, do you really want to run a business in the first place?
And because you are running a business.
Because you're running a business and there's a lot involved to making it work, right? And over the years, working with lots of people, it's no longer surprising to me, but it used to be surprising to me how often it actually, underneath, as we kind of uncovered what was going on, underneath was actually a no desire to actually run a business, that would prefer to, be employed by someone else, which is totally fine.
And there are plenty of writing positions available in companies.
Absolutely.
And all the could be social media, all those areas, all the projects that we talk about, there are many companies that hire specifically just for that. So it is an option. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, they're both totally great pathways. But if you're going to pursue being a freelancer, independent consultant, having a small
Yes.
business, you just have to you have to be truthful to yourself that that's what you want to do, and then be willing to do what it takes to
Right.
make that happen, which is there's a lot of things that you have to do that are not necessarily fun all the time. And, I've always talked about being an entrepreneur, being a small business owner is one of the greatest journeys of self-discovery you'll go on, because you will get put through the ringer.
Right. Yeah. And you'll find your strengths and your
Yeah.
weaknesses and that discipline. And, I always tell people, I've said this so many times now, you're the CEO of your business,
Hmm.
and, you're also the employee of your business. So you got to
Yes.
make sure you're doing a good job for the CEO.
Exactly.
You,
Yeah.
you,
You make a good point too, because something that I didn't do in my design business that I absolutely did and still do now in paraphrase is I am my best client. And I used to never, like, I can't even, sometimes I'm like, I'm helping people do marketing and I love marketing, but I never in my design business ever did marketing. Like,
Isn't that
that was
hilarious?
not.
I mean, you are your best client. Again,
Yeah.
another so simple, such clarity, and just such a truth that everybody that's on this road needs to embrace. You are your best client. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard to put that into practice sometimes. But I think, again, if we go back to the whole point about making that identity shift, that decision about who you are in your business
Mhm.
and what that means, it's a really powerful place
Great.
to be. Yeah.
So what's been a recent win that you're really proud of, excited about,
Yeah.
like to
Oh,
share?
oh my goodness. Well, this has been one heck of a year in terms of just lots of challenges, lots of yeah, just all kinds of unfolding of things I
Yes.
was not anticipating at the beginning. We're almost full circle now to the start
Right.
of the 2026. And so I am very proud of how I showed up this year, because it was not
That's a
easy.
win.
It
Yeah.
was not easy. So yeah, so I'd say I'm very proud of that. And I think in that, really, another thing I'm really excited about and proud about, and yeah, just really into right now, is how I've been utilizing AI
Mhm.
in the work, and where, took me a little while to figure out where exactly does AI fit into the picture of the work that I'm doing with clients. And
Yeah.
that's been
And
really
so
exciting.
can you give us in a few sentences how
Yeah.
you are using it?
Yeah. So what I've done is I've taken a lot of my messaging frameworks and a lot of the the process that I've, historically manually taken people through, and I've created custom GPTs around all of those. So I have a
Yeah.
whole now messaging studio that's
Mhm.
full of these custom GPTs that I continue to build and test and tweak. And that, what it's really doing is cutting down on the time it takes to go from the scattered ideas and stuff kind of in documents to a workable copy.
Yes. Yes.
So it's cutting down on the blank page. That was the huge issue for so many
That's
clients,
so
even
big. Yeah.
writers, because I do work
Yeah.
with a lot of writers. So it's like, I
Yes.
can't do this for myself. Like, I can do this for everybody else, but why can't I do it for myself?
Right.
So that's been extremely powerful. And it's also kind of scratched my itch for getting really technical. I kind of like to geek out on stuff, and that sort of
Uh-huh.
comes back to my design days. So for me, building the custom GPTs feels a lot like building websites and
Right.
thinking about that. So yeah,
Fun.
been
Fun.
really into that. And also working with clients. I've started working with clients on helping them build out custom GPTs as well for some of their own um, workflows in their own process that they're using. So it's just been really cool to see how that's all unfolding.
And how are you learning? How are you keeping up with it?
Well, first of all, I hired somebody to help me to
Oh,
build
good.
the initial one. So I
Mhm.
I do better if I can work directly with someone rather than take a course.
Yeah.
So I hired somebody to help me and then, show me the ropes essentially.
Yeah.
And
Good.
yeah.
Perfect.
And then just lots of trial and error. Again, I like this stuff. So
Not being
I
afraid
will,
of it, getting in there,
yeah,
getting your hands dirty and seeing where it takes you. I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that. I
exactly.
love
Yeah.
that. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for these nuggets, these wisdom bombs that you dropped on us today. And anything you'd like to end with?
I would just encourage, if you're watching this, to just take a moment to think back about your wins, even the very small ones, from whether it's the
Yeah,
past week, the past year, because we so often are just racing forward and on to the
yeah,
next thing that we don't give ourselves enough credit for what's already
I
been
love that.
accomplished. So I think I would just really encourage you to do that.
I wholeheartely agree. I think that's great advice. So, Lisa, thank you so much. I wish you continued success, and
Thank you.
I'd love to work with you again. I forgot to even mention that you were part of our Ideal 50 training
Yeah.
program. So,
Yes.
get to for everybody that was part of that, you get to see a little more of Lisa here, and which is always a treat. So, thank you so much, Lisa, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you, everybody.